Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So today we are going to look at watercolour techniques. So these watercolours I have here are called Koh-i-Noor watercolours and these are my favourite. I love how vibrant they are, they're really easy to use and they're quite affordable too. So you can use any kind of watercolours. You can use tubed watercolours, watercolours that come in a tube, or you can use pan watercolours, which is what these are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those to one side and I'm going to start the lesson. So first one I'm going to show you is super easy. It's wet on wet. So what you do is you get some water and you wet the page like so. Make sure the paper's really soaked in that water. Now I recommend you use watercolour paper or you use some cards, so paper that's no less than 150 GSM. That would be my recommendation for watercolours. So now that I've wet my page, I am going to go ahead with the colours. So I'm going to go with blue. And then as you can see, as I drag my paintbrush across, it kind of bleeds out. And that is what wet on wet does. It's a really cool technique and I absolutely love it. So that is wet on wet. Now I'm going to show you how to do a dry brush technique. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my palette and I'm going to ever so slightly wet one of my pan cakes. And then I'm going to get a brush that is bone dry, can't be wet at all. And I'm going to very gently get a tiny bit of that colour off the watercolours. And then I'm going to go ahead and paint on my paper. So as you can see, because the paintbrush is so dry, it creates sort of like a scratching effect, and it's really good for texture to put on top of your first layer of watercolours. It's brilliant for grass, it's brilliant for getting texture of bark of trees, so lots of people really enjoy the dry brush technique. Next one I'm going to show you is how to use salt with your watercolours. So what you're going to do is you're going to wet the page again. I think I'll choose a nice purple. So I'm going to get my purple, make a square on the page, and I'm going to get my salt. Mine's in a little owl container. And I'm going to sprinkle some salt on. And as you can see with this salt, as soon as you put it on your watercolours, the salt absorbs the pigment and the water and it creates a really cool effect. Now you have to wait until it's fully dry for you then to scrape the salt off and you'll see the real benefit. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you something I did earlier. So this is what the kind of technique you'll get after you've done the salt. So as you can see, the salt has absorbed a lot of the colour and it's created a cool almost like a fungus effect, I suppose. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, a really cool technique, something I really I use a lot for texture. So now, next one. This one's really easy. It's just a wet brush on your watercolours and then you put it onto a dry piece of paper. So I'm just going to blow to get rid of some of the salt. So as you can see, really controlled. It doesn't bleed like with the wet on wet technique. Super easy. Okay, next one. This is pretty fun. What I'm going to do is I'm going to really wet the page. I'm going to use a bit of blue again. And then what you're going to do is you're going to have to go into the garden and find a leaf. You've got to make sure it's super wet. Now, a leaf or flower, it can't be a hard leaf, it has to be quite floppy, something that can really easily suck to the paper. I hope that makes sense. So as soon as you get a leaf, you're going to place it on top of your watercolours. Make sure it properly soaks in, like so. And then you're going to leave it. You're going to leave it for at least 24 hours. Make sure that it fully dries. And you'll end up getting a technique like this. So as you can see, where I placed the leaf on the watercolours before, it's made sort of like an imprint. So again, a really cool technique, something I highly recommend you have an experiment with. Okay, next one. So with this one, it's going to be pretty easy. I am going to get some masking tape. Oops. And I'm going to tear it up a little, like so, and I'm going to place it onto my paper. And we're going to come back to this later once it's dried a little bit. So I've placed my masking tape onto the piece of paper here, and I'm going to use, what colour? Let's try orange. So I'm going to place that right on top of the masking tape like so. And I'll come back to this one later, as soon as it's dry. Right, which one shall I do next? Right, again, I'm going to wet my paper. I think I'll use like yellow this time. Well, actually, maybe not a yellow so you can see it easier. Let's go with a dark green. And then I am going to use a tissue. So if I get a tissue like this, I'm going to scrunch it up like so into a nice cool ball. And then if I print onto the watercolour while it's still wet, it creates a really cool effect because it takes away some of that colour away. And if you've got a load of watercolour on your page, you can always print a little on top. Sometimes, can't really see it very well. You can also use a cotton wool pad as well if you wanted to. Right, blending. So blending one colour into another colour. So I am going to blend blue with purple. So I'm going to start off with blue on one side, and then I'm going to start with purple on the other side, and then I'm going to just gradually blend those together like so. And if I feel like there's too much blue, then I can add a bit more purple and blend it that way. And you can do it with so many other colours. So for example, you could do yellow with orange, so there's a bit of yellow, maybe yellow with green actually. Let's try green. I'm gonna get my green and I'm gonna blend it in with my yellow. Like so. Super easy. And then finally, the last technique I am going to show you is how to go from really dark to from a really dark colour and dispersing out until it's pretty much translucent. So let's go with blue. So I'm going to go with blue like so, and then if I add more colour, then gradually it will disperse out. It's called a gradient technique really. So as you can see, it goes from really dark blue and disperse until it's pretty much a really light colour. Okay. This is pretty much dry now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel this away, and as you can see with this technique, the masking tape blocks the colour from getting through to the paper. There you go. So, I hope that this techniques video was alright for you. I hope it gives you some ideas. Feel free to experiment, try out different things, and yeah, just have fun. And I'm sure you will be a pro with watercolours in no time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye!